Hi Leo, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of April 2022. We begin the month in Aries season. Aries is a cardinal fire sign, which is very action oriented, and a fellow fire sign very harmonious with your own. And the sun is transiting in your house of hope and manifesting, publicity, and promotion. Mercury, the planet of communication, is also transiting in that sector in the sign of Aries, as is Chiron, the wounded healer, helping to bring healing through your thoughts and through manifesting. There's a stellium of planets transiting in the fixed air sign of Aquarius, which is your opposite sign, in your house of partnerships and relationships. And that's a huge focus for you because Saturn, which is the planet of karma and commitment and structure, is transiting in Aquarius through March 7th of 2023. So this is a big time for you for assessing the relationships that are working, those to which you want to commit further, and those that you're either restructuring or ending that are no longer working for you. And there are a lot of planets transiting in Aquarius really igniting this area. Mars, the planet of action, Vesta, which is an asteroid that represents hearth and home, Venus, the planet of love and money and what you value, Juno, which is an asteroid that represents partnering, and Saturn, the planet of karma and commitment, all transiting in your house of relationships, really focusing on what you want to structure. And then there is a huge Piscean energy, which I feel the most actually, because Jupiter and Neptune have been transiting together for a while. Jupiter is the vision, Neptune is the dream. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, Neptune is the modern. And they peak from April 9th through April 12th in your house of healing, death and rebirth, joint resources, debt and taxes, finding a way to manifest healing and to manifest financial opportunities to heal that area of your life. If you've experienced loss, trying to bring in healing, and also to bring in healing for your emotional well-being. So we begin the month, and there is a new moon that takes place on March 31st at 11:24 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on April 1st at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 11 degrees and 30 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. The sun is exalted in Aries. It loves being there. Loves being in your sign the most because the sun is the sign of Leo, but it is exalted in Aries and very strong and confident. This new moon is on Chiron, the wounded healer, so that brings a very healing component, and Mercury, communication, how you can heal through positive thinking in your house of manifesting and hope. The new moon is always a time to plant new seeds and to write down intentions, particularly with Mercury, the cosmic messenger, strongly involved. And it's also a good time to do the law of abundance, to bring in abundance in all forms. The sun and Chiron meet up at 10:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that brings more light to the healing process. And on April 2nd, Mercury meets up with Chiron at 9:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, bringing more positive thinking to healing the wounds. And then the sun and Mercury meet up on the very same day at 7:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, really focusing on positive thinking and setting new intentions with this new moon energy. And then on April 3rd, the moon will be transiting in the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of career and life goals. It meets up with Uranus, which is the planet of surprise and the unexpected, at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. that could bring some twists and turns professionally. It could bring unexpected opportunities. People could be erratic and unpredictable. And then on April 5th, Venus, which is the planet of love and money, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces. And Pisces rules your house of healing and transformation and empowerment. And Venus enters Pisces at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will transit there until May 2nd. Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's very romantic and very kind and loving, and it's in your house of money and in healing. So that's a good placement to bring some love in that area. And then on April 7th, Mercury, which is the planet of communication, forms a harmonious aspect to Saturn at 8:37 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that could be good for you for good promotion or partnering with others in a business sense and positive, solid communication. On April 8th, Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, forms an excellent aspect to the North Node of Fate. And this occurs at 3:21 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring you excellent financial and professional opportunities. So pay attention to the opportunities that arise at that time and to the people whom you meet, because that's a very lucky and fated pairing. And then on April 9th, Jupiter and Neptune are starting to really meet up in the sky. They are conjunct. They peak on April 12th, but it's a very romantic and spiritual and creative energy, healing the loss, healing the pain, but also bringing in a lot of empowerment in your emotions, bringing some financial opportunities, bringing some empowerment, which is most important. And there is a very romantic tone. Jupiter and Neptune both make good aspects to the moon that date, so that's a lovely energy. On April 10th, Mercury squares Pluto at 4:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring power struggles, but I feel more about releasing blocks to positive thinking, because you want to work with this highly romantic and creative energy that is suspending disbelief and about healing. And so purging negative thinking. Mercury represents your thinking. If there are some arguments or power struggles, be conscious that that energy is palpable then, but also it's about healing the communication. And later that day, Mercury changes signs at 10:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and enters the fixed Earth sign of Taurus, where it will be until April 29th in your house of career and life goals. And then let's see, on April 12th, Jupiter and Neptune meet up exactly at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. And that is such a spiritual pairing. And it's a very, very lucky signature. It does make things seem very, very Piscean and Neptunian. So people could be very sensitive and emotional. Again, this is in your house of healing and empowerment. So really, really diving into the healing energy of that. And then on April 14th, Mars, which is the planet of action and passion, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces at 11:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will be there until May 24th. And this is more energy and focus on doing healing through spiritual practice, and however that is for you. And then on April 16th, there is a full moon that takes place at 2:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 26 degrees and 46 minutes of the cardinal air sign of Libra. And this occurs in your house of, let's see here, in your house of communication and thoughts and ideas. So you could get some interesting news. The full moon is squaring Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, so there could be some endings. Maybe there are some issues at work, conceivably, that could be going on. But my feeling is that, you know, Venus and Jupiter are in Pisces in their dignity. Venus is exalted and Jupiter is in its dignity, and it's about eliminating toxic issues, you know, with this full moon. And then on the 17th, Mercury and Venus form a harmonious aspect in the sky at 9:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that brings an optimism, you know, and it's good for positive thinking, it's good for networking. And then Mercury meets up with Uranus at 9:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in your house of career and achievement. This could bring excellent ideas. This is Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. It could be incredibly cerebral, but it could be unexpected news that changes things in an instant. Whatever you think it is, it'll be something else, but it is very exciting energy. And then on April, let's see, on April 18th, let's see, Venus forms a positive aspect to Uranus at 3:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is very creative energy. That could be good for you professionally and financially. And then the Sun squares Pluto at 11:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring power struggles. That could bring major endings. And then on the following day, on April 19th, the Sun enters the fixed Earth sign of Taurus in your house of career and life goals, and it brings the sun shines wherever it's transiting, and it will be there until May 20th, bringing a lot of light to your achievements. And then on April 20th, Juno, which is an asteroid that represents partnering, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces, and it will be there until January 12th of 2023, bringing more partnering with healing for you and getting more into metaphysics of various forms or connecting with the divine in some way. On April 24th, Mercury squares Saturn at let's see, at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring obstacles and challenges professionally. It could feel like, you know, you're blocked a little bit. Maybe some partnerships have some, you know, delays or restrictions. But then later that day, Mercury forms a helpful aspect to Neptune at 6:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that's very creative thinking and very spiritual energy. And then on April 26th, Mercury and Jupiter are in harmony, and that's a really nice energy, and that occurs at 10:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Very manifesting, very optimistic. On April 28th, Mercury forms an excellent aspect to Pluto, forms what's known as a trine. That's a flow of energy, very empowering thinking, and, you know, very confident in what you're trying to achieve at work. And the big kicker is that on April 29th, Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, stations retrograde, and it stations retrograde at 2:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 28 degrees and 36 minutes of the cardinal Earth sign of Capricorn. We feel that energy 5 days before and 5 days after. And that brings major endings and major beginnings. Could bring huge power struggles too, because Pluto is the planet of power, death, and regeneration. And for you, this occurs in your house of work, health, and daily routine. There could be changes at the workplace. And on the following day, there is a partial solar eclipse that occurs at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of the fixed Earth sign of Taurus in your house of career and life goals. Now, this is like a new moon on steroids. And in this new moon eclipse, again, that's kind of like, it reminds me of Uranus. It's very chaotic and unpredictable, and it's actually setting off where Uranus has been transiting approximately the last year and a half, and it is, coupled with Uranus. So there will be a lot of unexpected events, a lot of twists and turns like Uranian energy is. Eclipses bring change in a flash, just like Uranus transits can do. It's a big, they like Uranus, they can wake us up to things, they can shake us up, but they can bring major new beginnings. A solar eclipse tends to be more like it is a new moon, tends to be more about new beginnings. A lunar eclipse is a full moon on steroids, tends to be more about culmination and release. But I've seen major endings on solar eclipses and major beginnings on lunar eclipses. It's about change, it's about movement, it's heightened activity, and for you, happening with your career and a lot of eventful energies. So know that also Venus and Jupiter meet up on the day of the solar eclipse at 5:14 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 27 degrees of the mutable water sign of Pisces. Beautiful energy. Venus is exalted. Jupiter is in its dignity. Jupiter and Neptune are still conjunct. Saturn squaring the nodes of fate, the second part of the month. So we know that brings some fated choices and events, but a lot happening. I wish you a lot of luck, Leo, and big time for you. Take care.